Thank you, dear participants of seminar. Thank you for joining our meeting. It's very impressed me. Thank you. And let's start my little speech labeled another rational regularities of information war, the Russian-Ukraine case. Maybe it will be accompanied by my slides.
Just what about presentation? Do you see?
Yes, I now see my first slide. Thank you. This is slide only about the name of my speech, and we can start from the second slide. Okay, thank you. In my reasoning about the success of Russia's information war against Ukraine, I relied on 4 statements, which hardly need additional explanation for the participants of the seminar. First one is social realities and artificial reality. Second one is the aesthetic component of the reality is immanent. Third is exchange of information in art is a thinking process. And fourth, communication takes place thanks to mediation semantic codes. The success of the Russian information war and its practical irrefutability with rational arguments are obvious to me. At the same time, the manipulation of information works equally well for people with different educational levels and different abilities for rational thinking. All messages are an a priori truth that cannot be definitely refuted. Based on my professional experience as an aesthetician, the artistic practice of information processing is present here. Entire artistic information is structured information, which allows you to ambiguously reproduce it and establish a meaningful contact between the addressee and the addressor, as well as coordinate joint actions of artistic origin. The leading form of information structuring in art is a genre that adjusts to the meaningful decoding of information. Open any platform for watching movies online, and you will definitely see this heading, genre. And you will make your choice based on this characteristic because you understand in advance what to expect from the film. Subconsciously, you will also interpret the events of the film within the given genre framework and form your assessment as an assessment of the level of compliance of the film with the stated genre structure. However, in order to show the effectiveness of this way of organizing communication as a general communication tool, I propose to use the concept of another rationality, which can be used to explain the adequate exchange of information outside the procedures of linguistically oriented rational reasoning in situations far from art. At the same time, while researching genres in art, I needed to find common dimensions, for example, for symphony, place complex, icon, and waltz, which are genres in different arts. Agreeing with numerous researchers that a system of genres cannot be created in a linear way, I proposed 4 parameters that can be used to describe each specific genre. Considering also the fact that they obviously observe the genre development of art as a cumulative development, I also propose to see the genre system as a network in which there is a minimum genre level and a maximum genre level, which causes a constant fluctuation of irrationally preconditioned communication between simple and complex form of each organization. Next slide, please. These four characteristics of genre are structure of irrational thinking are follows. Firstly, over a considerable historical distance, one can notice a constant trend of transition from such form of organization of irrational messages, which require literal reproduction to preserve the original meaning, to forms that retain their constant concept despite significant structural variability. This is the track from the mimesis of a concrete model to the mimesis of its hidden structure, similar to grammatical forms. Secondly, irrational structuring information can focus on the significance of a single fact, separating it from the general informational context, or demonstrate the diversity of reality elements. Thirdly, the irrational message can embody semantic unity in its structure or break up into multiple elements separating content which can exist in parallel to each other, being only conditionally connected to each other. Fourth, we can see completeness and openness in the structure of irrational communication. A completed irrational message is limited to a stable structure that has clear formal boundaries, while is an open irrational message, new part can be added, constantly varying its meaning. A feature of the genre organized irrational thinking is its ability to adjust the perception of reality to integral worldview models, which should be reproduced in direct way. This characteristic of information influence to be persuasive at the level of immediate understanding, it is a desirable characteristic of information war messages. So, the worldview frame of irrational thinking can be quite individual, combining in different ways the four main characteristics of the genre of thinking: the type of mimesis of thinking forms, literal or semantic, the type of operation with elements of reality, the separation of relationship of phenomena, the type of understanding of the reality's substantiality, the universality of the cause or the variety of causes, and a type of coordination of spatio-temporal relations, coordination correspondence or its absence. These four structural elements of genre-oriented thinking form a specific genre as a worldview framework for operations with information. The next one, please. The first attributive characteristic of the worldview framework of irrational thinking, the type of mimesis, is related to the method of encoding information for its reproduction. And rational communication can be based both on an ambiguous template for action, evaluation, and adjustment, literal, tangible mimesis, and on the level of reflection of the thought construction and mental frame, semantic and intangible mimesis. Intangible mimetic frame assumes the variability and situationality of reproduction, the ability to make independent decision within the framework of a prioriness and common sense habits. The second attributive characteristic is related to the ability to understand relationship and mutual influences, or to the lack of such an ability. The picture of the world can be divided into separate, unrelated phenomena and things, or be a wholic integrity. The third attributive characteristic concerns the skills of understanding the substantial foundation, the causes of phenomena and process. The idea of polysubstantial and monosubstantial concepts of the world can be represented in an rational way. This peculiarity of irrational thinking is connected with the ability to see or not to see contradictions, to adhere or not to adhere to a unified principle of assessment, including a moral one. If the world is built on the set of initial causes, then there is no problem of its systemic interconnection, because each phenomenon is the result of its own separate cause. The fourth attributive characteristic of the worldview framework of irrational thinking is related to the sense of coordination of space and time in its social manifestation. The unity of social space and time and the thinking skill is the ability to distinguish the past, present, and future in actions and evaluative judgments regarding a specific social space. The four structural elements of thinking in the way of another rationality can be divided into two conditional opposite poles that gravitate either to early, simpler forms of thinking or to evolutionary higher forms of thinking. The early minimal level can include such characteristics as literal tangible mimesis, factual monodicity, polysubstantiality, and the lack of coordination of space and time. Intangible semantic mimesis, factual interconnectedness, monosubstantiality, and coordination of space and time can be attributed to the highest level, the maximum level. Depending on the usual maximum or minimum and rational level of the reality perception, in which a person feels most comfortable and natural, this behavioral and mental characteristic will differ. At the same time, different levels of irrational thinking and communication can be purposefully maintained, and this is a tool for manipulating the general worldview orientation. The next slide, please. Two opposite mental portraits of person can be formed according to the described characteristic features of general thinking, minimal and maximal. If a person has a minimal level of irrational thinking, human will be inclined to literally reproduce an empirically determined pattern of reaction and judgments, which in the process of communication will look like absolute conviction and categoricalness. The picture of the world for a person with a tendency to a minimal way of irrational thinking will be unambiguously established, consisting of separate elements, each of which has its own reason for existence and is not connected with other in both spatial and temporal dimensions. However, the constant reproduction of the pattern, norms, rules, value judgments, will be accompanied by a feeling of group solidarity and have the effect of truth for all, truth at the right of the majority. The maximum level of irrationality preconditioned thinking assumes that a person is capable of variable application of a stable formal structure that repeats itself as a cognitive pattern. Such a person's worldview will consist on an extensive network of interdependent phenomena that is constantly moving and changing, but has a universal cause of origin and is conceptually coordinated in the spatio-temporal dimensions. But if the minimum level is a completely realistic type of irrational judgments and action, then the maximum level is a completely hypothetical, ideal worldview state, a limit that is difficult to reach. It should be noted that successful information campaigns of military nature always appeal to the minimum level of rational thinking, because this prevents the construction of connections between phenomena, creates a mosaic reality of individual facts and sets that tone for the literal reproduction of slogans, assessments, and characteristics. Informational attacks provide ready-made frameworks of perception and emotional reactions, ready-made codes for understanding events and facts. Literal mimesis is attractive because it always gives a sense of correct judgments and action. This feeling calm and preserve vital energy in a complex world of uncertainty and absolute mobility. The next slide. So, given that it is important to create a communication framework in an information board, we can claim that such a framework for the perception of the war against Ukraine exists. It can be considered a genre and labeled as a Russian battle worldview frame. The characteristic of Russian information influence as a genre can be described, like any other genre, by 4 coordinates. According to the laws of the functioning of genres, the Russian battle worldview frame is replicated in all information messages aimed at creating an artificial reality, and therefore it is a generalized form of structuring any message for the purpose of disinformation or distortion of facts. Russian battle worldview frame is a genre that is open in its structure because it involves the addition of new elements that must be reproduced at the level of literal mimesis. These elements have their own reasons. They are not connected in a meaningful unity and exist in an open time-space system where different facts move freely in time and simultaneously coexist in a completely imaginary reality. If we describe the genre of the Russian information matrix for the purpose of disinformation, then it will be a genre with the following features: literal material mimesis, separation of effects of reality, multiplicity of basic reasons, spatial-temporal incoordination. All these features are signs of minimum and rational level of thinking and communication. Since the thinking of the target audience of information attacks is preconditioned by a constantly replicated structure that has the irrational basis, its messages are fundamentally not refuted by Russian arguments. At the same time, each new episode should correspond to the general frame. Any information will look reasonable if it is included in the general structure of the regularity of the genre setting of perception. Therefore, one should not perceive each individual message in the process of implementing military tasks of information influence as independent in meaning. Just as in art, the same genre can be the structural basis of different works of art and be used by different authors. The genre or Russian battle worldview frame can relate to different events and be reproduced by different participants of such attacks. Today, there are numerous monitoring groups operating in Ukraine and abroad which check Russia's factual disinformation regarding events in Ukraine. But the primary plausibility of all fake message, which must be constantly refuted, is due to the connection with the Russian battle worldview frame, within which they are a confirmation of general evaluation judgments about imaginary Russia and imaginary Ukraine. All messages of the Russian battle worldview framework, according to the laws of the minimal level of irrational thinking, should be available for literal reproduction, focus attention on a separate events or fact without establishing a relationship between them or the external context, interpret each fact as a self-cost and self-significant, violate the principle of time, space, situationally, and historical conditionality. Based on the constantly repeating statements given in the table on the slide, it is possible to make such description of the situation that prompt the work. Please, next slide, please. Followers of Stepan Bandera, who are convinced Nazis, organized Euromaidan in Ukraine in order to encourage an attack on Russia, which in turn had the right to the lands of Ukraine as a successor of Kievan Rus and the USSR, and will adhere to the message of subjugation of Ukraine, which were used by Stalin and Tsar Peter I. However, all these statements should neither surprise nor annoy consumers of propaganda information because, as the semantic said, they are an ideal embodiment of irrational communication patterns of a minimal cognitive level. There is indeed no logic in these statements in the traditional rational meaning of the expression, but there is a pervasiveness of an artificial reality that allows us to imagine interdependencies and manipulate meaning. But everything that seems to be the absence of logic in its rational sense turns out to be quite normal in the situation of awareness of the importance of those forms of organized communication that are based on the laws of the aesthetic origin thinking. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Svitlana. Thank you. It's very interesting, and there are many ideas and reasons for discussion, I suppose. Please, questions?
Yes. Thank you in advance for your questions and your replies and your comments.
Svitlana, maybe I start the first. What I would like to clarify your concept of aestheticization, aestheticization for this phenomena.
I know that now we have many works about the aesthetic tone in many specific disciplines. Instead, international relations or politics. But every time we have information, we met with information that aesthetic in our communication is only emotions, and all thinking around which revolves around arts in our politics or our common life around the emotions and its manifestation. But I think that we have very very developed, very good developed system of structures in art. And if we think that nothing in human life nothing doesn't meaningful, we can agree that these structures have some everyday, some practical meaning. My philosophical path started in art, in aesthetic, and every time I thought, why so big word which cannot be used in everyday life for defense or for eating or for decide our everyday problems. And I decided that this is additional structures of our thinking, additional structures of our communication, and so much variety, so much different structures in art. It is something about ready-made construction of perception our world. And on this main idea, I based my today speech, and I think that these structures meaningful not only in art but in everyday life, and we often deal with reality based on genre, not on step by step or little by little logic thinking. So I decided that in information war, it's very important to create such world where everything will be truth, because it's an artistical world. It's a world which I create or somebody else create, and in this world we have plots, we have characters, we have emotions, but this world only conditional connect with the real life or create its own reality. So this is my additional explaining of my philosophical base.
Thank you. Any questions? Nadezhda, please.
Nadia.
Nadia.
Good evening. Good evening. Thank you for the relevant and interesting report. Aesthetic studies are very difficult for me. I think they require not only diligence, but also talent. My question, You were talking about the loss of the ability to adequately assess reality. What criteria for such an assessment do you consider to be the main ones from an aesthetic point of view?
As a philosopher, I can answer that we haven't any criteria of realistic or unambiguous perception of relation, of course. But now we strongly divide. We strongly divide science and art, and science as facts, as documents, as events which confers by most than one people. And now we decide that this is adequate tools for assessed reality as reality. But in art, everything is possible. And if I drill, or if I dive in art reality, I can create my own world, and everything in this world, like in fantasy, like in novel, like in fairy tale, everything can be. And if I want to be in this reality, I will be absolutely absolutely confident that I have truth. And if every time from TV, from my neighbors, from politicians, and also I heard or I have seen the same. I prove in my opinion, this is real reality. This is something like myth. This is science, something like virtual religious world. And it could be very comfortable for a person to be in this myth, to be in this art world, and have followers of main ideas of this world. So when we advise to control our emotion as absolute tools for divide these two worlds, it's not works every time in the same way, because emotions, it's our second part of existing. We are not only rational animals, we are emotional animals, and that is why my world cannot be only rational. But if I don't have this explanation, if I don't have this advice, if I don't have meaningful change of information about this situation, that I can exist in absolutely artistic, absolutely imagine world. But I can shoot, I can fight, I can do something criminal, if I believe in my myth, in my artistic world.
Thanks.
If I answer on your question.
Yes, yes.
Thank you. Maybe somebody else want to add something? Ask. And I would like to continue clarify aesthetical attitude to reality and reality of our time. And do you involve in your reasoning, in your scheme, concept of metaphorical understanding? It's connected with another rational, how to use not only rational thinking and metaphorical. Is it important for your such kind of structure of your understanding of another rational? Because there are many discussion about new role of metaphor, metaphorological approach. Is it suitable here or not?
My concept based on the elements or on the mindset based near to classical logics. In logics, as I learned it, we said many times about good structures, about good points of thinking, about good structures as base for right results, and that is why I take into account structures as very important tools of artistic thinking. I think that symbols, metaphors, some means for manipulate my emotions, like change passive and active moves in plots and contrasts and so on. All these can be should be structured, because if first what I ask about concrete work, because art it's not a field like space, like water with ocean with water, when everything connect with everything, and I cannot divide one part of water from other part of water. In everyday life, we communicate with art as specific works of art. And these works of art, everything have start and end point. And within these structure frames, we can use metaphors, we can use symbols, we can use plots that have repeated forms, and in my reflection, I would like to be on several distance on distance from describing arts, describing elements of arts as tools of literature, as tools of architecture, architectonic, and in my base, everything was music. When no word, when no any tips for understanding content, and I know that music, but music every time have structure, have form. And when I reflect on genre as general concept, I tried to do something common for literature, for music, for painting, for theater, etc. And I think that something like genre, like type of constructing thinking, it is a common space or common rule or common norm for many type of arts. That is why such very important means of arts, like metaphor, like symbol, are mostly far, or mostly behind genre structures for me, in my concept. But of course, for describing literature or painting, it's very important, of course.
Thank you. Maybe something to this point, information war. What is your opinion about this power of the metaphor, symbols? Maybe do you want? Can you, for example, present us the most maybe dangerous and the most some ambivalent metaphor symbols, especially for this kind, for this point, information war, Russian-Ukrainian case?
It's very dangerous, but when we speak about information war, we don't remember that something could be metaphor of symbols, or could be not truth, or could be not fact. If I can divide noticed like metaphor or like characters of Soviet films, or something like construct of my imagine or something else, maybe I will not believe in Nazis as real people in Ukraine. Of course, I know that Nazism is possible in every country, of course. But in propaganda, but in adjustment war or prompt war against Ukraine, this will not one metaphoric episode, metaphoric symbol, or symbol from past times, or symbol from Second World War, or something. Nothing additional information. So, in information war, this is not metaphor. This is a fact, and this is very dangerous. That we cannot perceive information with battle aims, like full of metaphors, or like full of imagine with political sense. We believe in it. We believe in it as an essential information, as an information about weather, about prices in shops, and so on. We have tomorrow we have rain, and tomorrow we will start war, because in Ukraine everybody Nazis. It's not metaphor. It's very dangerous, and I would like to explain, or why I would like to show that we have ready-made structure in which in aesthetic, in artistic tool, in artistic way, we convey this practice of percept world, in which every message is truth, and they are create something like truth, reality, but because it's artistic reality, I can do with these facts everything, because nobody asked me about evidence, about proofs. It's really artistic points of view. I cannot ask something about real life of Harry Potter. Harry Potter exists. Nazis in Ukraine exist. Santa Claus exists. So it's absolutely another way of thinking. But it's a reality of our very educated world, where everybody have school education, or graduate, or institute graduate. It's something that we cannot ban by logic. I will believe in Santa Claus, and could be logic in my math professor. It's absolutely it's possible. It's absolutely realistic situation for our life. But we construct in such way, our mind constructs in such way.
Thanks. Maybe somebody. Any questions? Any comments? Margaret, thank you.
Hi, thank you so much. I very much enjoyed this talk. Maybe just to follow up a little bit, I just wanted to ask you, you know, it sounded to me like you're talking about like a sort of a fictional reality created, a kind of aesthetic reality that's created by the propaganda. And I wonder if you had any thoughts about how to point out, for example, the fact that it is a fictional reality, or there's certain markers of it, certain, maybe, you know, when you were mentioning a couple of the kind of metaphors, maybe like almost cliches or something that, or identify, you know, we can look at and say, oh, this is typical of a lot of you know, fiction. How do we point out, in other words, how do we expose it for the fact that it's an artistic creation or aesthetic creation, or something that doesn't mirror reality?
We can we have I would like to explain that in normal, every normal human, every normal man and woman have mindset contained with two parts, aesthetic and logic. And in normal life, I cannot ban, I cannot reject my aesthetic part of thinking. It's normal for me to be emotional. It's normal for me to feel empathy for other people, or empathy for characters in movie. It's normal. I can only stopped this my natural ability in with my own decision. If I every time when every time if somebody ask me to kill somebody, when in any time when somebody ask me kill or beat or make crime or something else, I can tell myself, I should tell myself, be stop, or please, please, you may understand that somebody use this your empathy, this your belief in authorities, this your belief in myths, this your belief that in TV or on TV we have only facts, only truth. Now in real life we haven't any absolute tools for stopping influence of aesthetic characteristic of our reality. It's impossible. It's only my own skills. It's only my own decision to stop, to stop my emotion and or switch on logic, or switch on documents, or switch on something else. But in real life, it's difficult. I haven't time. I haven't ability for this. So in and it's really have consequences like calm and like common truth. I am as everybody. I am as all. Majority said this, so I'm in tribe. So I can replicate these messages because I would like to be in common emotional tribe, in common emotional environment. I haven't one specific tools for stop your emotional perception reality. It's impossible. Sorry.
Thank you. Any questions, any comment? I understand this presentation is very full of ideas, full of theoretical position, and it's necessary to read, reread, to think and rethink for good understanding, for involvement, and for the empathy, or just on the contrary, if it's necessary. Maybe my questions, because I read and reread your presentation, and this point about it's very interesting for me, because one of my interests theoretical is such name as space tone. It's a reinterpretation of the space in a different manner, in different dimensions, in various dimensions. And for example, if you talk about space-time coordination, I tried to find this point. Maybe you will recollect this. Space-time coordination and space-time incoordination, I don't remember now. And for example, if you suppose, if you have thought about various type of the spaces, such we mentioned before, symbolical, reality of fact, and metaphorical, and maybe informational, is it how to coordinate between each other of all of this dimension of the space-time entities, space-time unities, space-time quality. For example, symbolic and real, and such as unity of this.
It's a very deep discussion which need deep and deep conversation and many time. But in 20th century, many philosophers decided that metaphoric and symbolic space is real for us, is the same reality. And that is why I can move from real reality to symbolic reality or metaphoric reality. When I read poetry, I'm in metaphoric reality. And this 5 or 10 minutes, I'm in a real reality for me. But I said in my construction, in my methodological approach, that we have so much different genres, so much different structures, which help us to move in all this reality and be adequate in every specific time. When time for me is open, from music as for instance, as music example, like theme and variety, yes, and I can be in variety long time, or something about suite. I can be in suite for 4 part, or for 5, or for 6, and so on. That is open time and space. I can be in it. I have structure. This is a problem of unfinished works of art, open end of artistic work, and when I can do something else. So my approach don't in contradiction for metaphoric or symbolic or emotional explanation of art space, but I would like to point out that we have in this genre construction some simulations for percept our world, not reality like real reality. Our world, it have one point of reason or many points of reason. It is open on close, and every time repeat and repeat. It's all in our genre forms, and we have many genre forms, and so many so many type of world perception we have, and sometimes we can move from one type of perception from one genre to other genre, and we can do this without our checking, or when I check, when I understand, when I realize what I do. So it's for me it's something like network which coordinate our communication, and from these genre forms we receive special worldview frames, maybe not every time pointed out or note this.
Thank you, Svitlana. I would like to add to your self-presentation one point, important point for our, but now it's latent and it's not hidden, because Svitlana is graduated Music Academy as and Department of Musicology, that's theoretical music study. Yes, am I right about your first education?
Yes.
Theoretical musicology, and all of this for maybe influence of the music and desire to look on the world across from point of view of the music, I suppose led to this maybe, I'm not sure, but I suppose it's quite important.
I started from theme, from issue, form, and content. How it connect form and content and music. Why music have content? What content it have? So it has. So then I decided that genre for music and form for music very important, and form and content something very close, or maybe the same. And then I developed my thinking, and I decided to look at other type of arts from this side, from this point of view, that we have not only linguistically explained content. We have something more than word. And this is why it's very interesting in 20th century, how novels play with forms, how novels play with these structures of text, and that add something for content, for sense of novels, I know that many times for genres it's very interesting position. I cannot explain what is genre of detective or of comedy. I can only show you it. You can only perceive it. You can only repeat it as a structure, with plots, with characters, and so on, with symbols and so on. And I think that in real life, many times we rely on genre in our everyday life when we assess something as common, or in situation where we don't have a template for assessment. I do as my relatives. I do as my boss. I do as rules said me. I do something. So it's, for me, it's a very interesting area for theoretical thinking. Thank you for inviting me on your seminar. I received many very interesting questions and very interesting discussion with you personally, especially. Thank you. And of course, we have long connection as colleagues, but now I have first time for explain my philosophical position and my philosophical approach. Thank you for this.
Thank you, Svitlana. Maybe somebody else want to Yes, Nadia, please.
Sorry, just
I
applause.
understand what's this. It's a applause. Yeah. Thank you. We have a text of Svitlana. It's possible to read, to think about more deeply, more attentively, and maybe enter into dialogue about this interesting topic, important for us and very attractive as for me, this aesthetical understanding of the reality, artificial, and so art with art, very important. And I'm so glad that our participants who some late with us not today, at the time of our first seminar this year, January seminar, really maybe I have some trouble in my mind. Is it possible to continue our meeting? Is it interesting for our participants? And I'm so glad that you are here, and I suppose we will continue. I have, as you remember, just now I will try to have these rules, this practice of our seminar. One time Ukrainian speaker from Ukraine, but maybe if our Ukrainian colleagues now is far from the motherland, from the native cities, but Svitlana presents Odessa Music Academy, National University, and Academy of Regional, how without mistakes, as
Public management.
Public management.
Regional Institute of Public.
Mm-hmm. And
Yes.
It's as for me very important that Svitlana is not only a good philosopher, but she created new world in our university several years ago. Faculty of but this faculty didn't have so long time of existing, but it was very interesting experience, and I suppose maybe in the peacetime we will come back to this art and what is the faculty or department, maybe art. Yes, Svitlana, help me please. Maybe I
Yes. Yes, it was about 5 or 6 years when we have in Odessa University Department of Arts and Management of Arts, and we have direction, design, theater, and painting in our university, but on the rules of genre, it will be extremely new, because every time many people explain me that classical university, this is one entity without art faculty. So I experience in my own life what is genre thinking in real life.
Yeah. One dangerous genre is the bureaucracy. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. Maybe some notes to at the end of our communication. I'm so happy that you are here.
I was very surprised I now in Switzerland. I was very surprised here in Switzerland when I received new information from my advisor here that in international theory there are many approaches which explore aesthetic terms in applying disciplines, aesthetic terms in international relations, aesthetic terms in politics, aesthetic terms in social communications, and so on. I was so happy when I understand that our Ukraine philosophy was in right way some years ago, and now I can speak with my colleagues in common language, in common theoretical language. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I believe that we will do the best for philosophical faculty and our philosophical community in Odessa.
Thank you. We have to finish but we will continue to our communication, and I'm waiting for your topics, for your ideas, for new reason for discussion. Thank you so much. Stay in touch and be in safety and be happy. How it's possible only for philosophers today. Thank you. Angela, Christina, Tatiana, who are late, who else? Norbert, thank you so much. We will have a record. I sent you, and you can read article and paper, Svitlana, and think about your ideas that closely connected with the interest of many scholars today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your interesting presentation, and thank you very much, Inna, for your efforts in organizing these seminars.
Thank you. I will try to continue, but I like it. It's my maybe not only my, but for us, it's maybe one chance to do something interesting, really interesting for us, important, attractive, inspiring, philosophical, pure philosophical. Thank you so much. To the February, I have one scholar who is agreed to be the next speaker. Just as we mentioned before, it will be a philosopher from Western countries. It's very interesting to say, as for you, we talk Western countries from our perspective, how to talk more precisely. Not just now, it will be my secret, but after some times I will open our new topic and our new seminar. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much, Inna. Stay safe and see you.
Thank you very much. You have a good time.
Thank you.
Christina.